I've been asked to share with you the origins of the first Day of Remembrance in Seattle at the Puyallup Fairgrounds. That first event was held on Thanksgiving weekend of 1978. But Days of Remembrance have become a tradition to mark the anniversary of Executive Order 9066 on February 19th. What I want you to keep in mind is that this was an invented tradition, and it was invented here in Seattle 4 decades ago. The leadership came from the Evacuation Redress Committee of the JACL chapter in Seattle. I took it as a badge of honor that Seattle was disparaged as the so-called Maverick chapter back then. These were the people who inspired me to the cause of redress, and I want you to know their names. From the left, Shosuke Sasaki, Henry Miyatake, Chuck Kato, Mike Nakata, and Ken Nakano. Shosuke was the Issei thinker of the group, a retired securities analyst. Henry and the other Nisei were aerospace engineers at Boeing. They were real slide rule jockeys with pocket protectors in their shirts. So the idea for the event and the name came from San Francisco playwright Frank Chin, who was then living in Seattle to write a long essay on the grassroots redress campaign. What also kicked us into action was opposition to redress from this seeming authority on the subject, S.I. Hayakawa, who, if you're too young to remember, was a Japanese Canadian elected to the U.S. Senate from California, who never spent a day in camp himself. The major media joined the attack. The Wall Street Journal accused us of guilt-mongering, of snapping at compensation for ancient wrongs under the guise of human rights, and condemning a broader society in which collective guilt for past sins had become a commodity to be traded, mongered, and exploited. So a Day of Remembrance was conceived as street theater, and a way to get the media and public opinion on our side. This was the poster we tacked up on telephone poles and in bowling alleys, just like the Western Defense Command posters in 1942. The design was superimposed over a ghost image of the original poster, with language calibrated to signal that this was not just a commemoration. The operative word up, remember the concentration camps, stand for redress with your family. The poster invited people to join us in dramatizing the eviction from Seattle with a car caravan down Interstate 5 to our hometown concentration camp at the Western Washington Fairgrounds, which was the site of the old Puyallup Assembly Center. Now, we had a sense that people were interested by the number of phone calls we were getting, but nothing prepared us for the crowd that flooded the parking lot of Sick Stadium. It felt like the entire community poured out to remember the camps and stand for redress with their families. So many people showed up, we struggled to sign everyone in. Joining us were actor and comedian Pat Morita. He spoke at the event, as did Gordon Hirabayashi, Seattle's Nisei daughter Monica Sone, and the actor Mako. The line of cars stretched down Interstate 5 as far as the eye could see. And inside the cars, the memory of leaving Seattle triggered something inside the Nisei. Parents opened up to their children about what happened to them during the war, many of them for the first time. And what people feared most never happened. There was no white backlash, no angry mob, no rekindling of old resentments and racism, as Hayakawa had threatened. Anthropologist Yasuko Takazawa called it the event that burst open the tomb of Japanese American history. We've come a long way from that day in 1978. But while a Day of Remembrance is often observed as a commemoration or a time of reflection, it was founded in the heat of political pushback. It was always about taking action. Over the past 40 years, I've been pleased to see communities use the Day of Remembrance as a rallying point to stand with other targeted groups. Our government was wrong to single out Japanese Americans for exclusion and incarceration based solely on our race. It was wrong then, and it's wrong now. But fortunately, whenever we see Americans turn against a people because of their race or their religion or their immigration status, Japanese Americans have shown that we won't just stand by. We won't just go along. We're speaking up. We're saying that every person deserves a fair hearing before removal or detention. We're saying that no children should be separated from their parents, just as after Pearl Harbor, many of our fathers were separated from their families. We're being the friends we didn't have when we needed them the most. It happened to us. And every year, on the Day of Remembrance, we are saying we refuse to let it happen again to anyone else. Thank you.